Hey, Mark, I love this question. I define the franchise fee as the cost of entry, right? It opens the gate to Disneyland and buys you access to everything that this franchisor has created. So that franchise fee is the difference between an entrepreneur going out and having to figure out, so they have an idea, but they have to figure out how to make money with that idea before they can ever start making money, right? And it's in that trial and error that most entrepreneurs end up losing money and failing. So the franchisee pays the franchise fee and buys instant access to all of the answers to all of those questions, right? The proven business model, the who is the customer and how do I find the customer and how much money does it take to find that customer and where do we market to find those customers and how long is it going to take to attract enough of those customers and how is the competition going to impact my business? So the franchisor has the answers to all of those questions before you say yes. And that is why a franchise fee is worth its weight in gold. Because from day one, you get to hit the ground running, moving toward profitability because you paid that fee, rather than the entrepreneur who has to fumble around in the dark and figure out the answers to all of those and hope that the answers they're coming up with are the right ones that may lead them to a profitable business. So that's the first part. That is the definition of a franchise fee. Now, does the franchise fee have value when you go to sell your business? You better believe it does, right? Whether you're gonna break it out like independently, like, okay, so when I'm, evaluating the resale value of my business, I don't think you're going to say, okay, well, the asking price is $200,000, but $50,000 of that is the franchise fee. I think it's rolled in that because when you go to sell your business, there's a transfer fee that has to be paid, but if you're smart, you're going to roll that into your asking price. And that transfer fee would be found in, I think it's item 17 of the franchise disclosure document. But in your mind, would you say like, yes, I'm getting the $50,000 back that I put in a franchise fee? Probably not. I mean, hopefully, by the way that I've defined the franchise fee, the value is instantaneous from day one of opening your business. Now, the other part of your question was what happens if you have multiple territories? So if you've paid maybe $50,000 for your first franchise license and let's say $35,000 for your second and $25,000 for your third. So you paid all of those fees upfront, right? So you bought the right to build out this area over some amount of time. And now let's say that you have one store open and you've decided one is enough. I don't want to open the additional stores. So if the franchisor that you're partnered with is actively growing the franchise, they may try to help you sell those additional territories. So as a consultant, I can't help you sell licenses where you don't have a business up and operating, but you can try to sell that on your own. If you've already built out the second and the third territory and you're going to sell 3 separate businesses or you're trying to sell it all as one, then absolutely it has value. But again, I don't think that you're going to be placing value on the franchise fees specifically in your asking price, right? Your asking price is going to be more based on, it's a multiple of what you've built, the asset that you've built. And you've been able to build this asset because you paid franchise fees that gave you the privilege and the right to use the marketing and the training and the technology and everything that this franchisor has created. So I think I'm interpreting the question maybe too literally, but I would say that you have the opportunity to build an asset because you've paid this franchise fee, an asset that should be worth a multiple higher than mom and pop competitive businesses because there's so much more that goes into this franchise investment with validation from other franchise owners and a research and development team at a corporate office that the incoming buyer can validate all of that and can look at all of that support and know that they're going to get training that an entrepreneur who's trying to buy a private business for sale doesn't get any of. And that's why franchise businesses sell for multiples higher than their mom and pop counterparts. So I think that's the more appropriate way to look at the value of what you're building and trying to sell versus trying to break out that individual franchise fee that you paid upfront in the beginning. Hopefully that answers the question that you were asking. Thank you so much, Mark.